I think it's important to address something when it comes to the impact of woke on pop culture franchises. All too often, I see hashtags and posts on social media, the likes of hashtag RIP Doctor Who or hashtag RIP Star Wars, whatever. And the same goes for many other popular properties that have been, quote unquote, updated for modern audiences. And I think this is the wrong way to think about these things because there's no denying that woke has been designed to cause discord and demoralization among fan bases. Pop culture properties such as these have been transformed into vehicles and platforms to drive home the message, and there's been a predictable sort of three-step process that's emerged as a result of this. So a popular property is laced with current year themes of identity politics. The fan base reacts very negatively to this. And then some of the people involved in the production or the mainstream media claim that the fan base is full of ists and phobes, and they blame the audience for not being, sophisticated enough, for being angry and intolerant and whatever, la la la. And they claim that the problem lies with the fans and not with the quality of the work they've produced. So there's an arrogant refusal to take any responsibility for the junk that they've churned out. And for years, for decades, these same franchises were producing basically politically neutral shows and films, and there was never such scolding of fans, right? Criticism was taken fairly. A film or TV show lived or died by its commercial success, and that was predicated on the quality of the production and how good the story was, how engaging the characters were, and so forth. Somewhere along the line, in relatively recent years, say maybe the last 10 or 12 years, the focus changed and ideology became the priority. So you have now all these corporations that change their company logos to the colors of a certain flag in June, where that would simply never happen, more than 15 years ago. And so it's become a focus of corporations, and DEI money has played a role in this, and Hollywood is no different, except it's pushing the DEI agenda all year, right, all year round in various productions. So that's why there's been this strident, almost uniform reaction to any criticism from fan bases. Where we're talking multiple properties all around the same time, acting in the same way, and then criticizing fans in the same kind of manner when they react negatively. And if it was just one time, you'd dismiss it. Maybe it's just hubris. Twice would be a coincidence, but more than that, and you have to admit, it's entirely intentional. That's the way it's designed to be. And I think what's also intentional is the gaslighting of fan bases, whereby they're told that they're the problem. Obviously, that's crazy. And remember when we used to say the customer is always right? I'm quoted as saying that fan service is customer service. Well, we're not seeing the customer service anymore. We're not seeing fan service, right? We're seeing things moving in a very different direction away from what the fans really want. So the fans haven't changed. Only the franchises have changed because the people in charge of them have been given instructions to insert certain messaging that very few people respond positively to. A lot of people try to ignore and pretend like it's not there. And a vocal group respond very negatively to. And I think they have a right to. But I also don't like this RIP, hashtag thing for your favorite franchise. It's important to differentiate the modern woke versions of these shows and films from the original versions of them. Star Wars, Doctor Who, Lord of the Rings, whatever it is. They're just iconic, eternal, legendary stories and works of fiction and cinema that can never be sullied by whatever social engineering nonsense is pushed today. The original versions, the pre-woke versions, that's what we cherish and hold on to, and they can't destroy those institutions. Now, to move on to the other thing I often talk about in this conversation, we do, I think, have an obligation to create the new pop culture ourselves, to tell the kinds of stories we would prefer to see in entertainment. And indie authors and indie filmmakers are critical to this. Now, having said that, it is important that our works don't get too mired in being reactionary and therefore anti-woke. So I think the best way to kick against the establishment is not to recognize its power. A lot of comedians have also reached this conclusion. So anti-woke jokes can be funny and everything, but they give too much credence and power to woke itself. By mocking it constantly, it only serves to amplify its messaging and legitimize the influence and talking points and power that it currently holds on society. So the best way to move forward with writing and producing good fiction is to start with new foundations. So there are, of course, good stories to tell that can be allegories for what we're experiencing right now, socially and culturally and politically. But to make your work a kind of crusade against the current entertainment system is to become somewhat burdened and saddled with it, which only serves to underline how pervasive it is. But to prove that woke is not all-powerful and influential in our cultural stories is to tell entirely new stories that are completely devoid of it. So being anti-woke is one thing, being entirely unwoke is quite different. So to ignore it and tell politically neutral stories that don't comment or critique or even satirize our current age or recognize the existence of woke is to prove that it's possible to contribute to culture without the presence of woke. So woke won't last forever. It doesn't have a timeless universal appeal. It doesn't speak to something, universal and innate within the human condition. It can only exist if it's propped up by big money and force-fed into the culture. So if you take all that away, it will disappear. It can't last by itself. But stories that are universal and timeless, they have, and of course will last, and will inspire people for centuries. Woke has attempted to embed itself in so many institutions and so many aspects of life. But if something is created that it cannot consume, that it cannot assimilate, well then, it has met not just an immovable force, and I would say not just its match, but its demise. Thank you very much for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please share this video, subscribe to the channel. Take care. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.